Picture this: someone spent a lifetime with one book, filled the margins with notes, and near the end asked to hear it read aloud. That someone was Mao Zedong. The book wasn't a war manual, and not a long dynastic history. It was a notebook kept by a Southern Song official, Rongzhai Suibi, often called the Notes of Rongzhai. Good evening, this is Bedside Book Voice. Tonight we read Rongzhai Suibi. If you're already lying down, dim the lamp a little more, move the phone a little farther, pull the blanket up. This book won't teach you battle lines like The Art of War, and it won't walk you down one long river of chronology like The Comprehensive Mirror. It's more like an older man who has seen the world, sitting under a lamp, pointing at places in history, people, and office life where he keeps saying, "Wait, this doesn't add up." Here's the deal first. Tonight you don't need to memorize hundreds of textual notes, and you don't need to finish all 5 collections page by page. Just follow the voice. Listen to how Hong Mai checks facts in his notes, how he reads people, how he turns scholarship into something you can hear at bedtime. When we finish, you may take a few habits with you: don't believe history too fast, don't judge people too fast, don't perform learning too hard. If you fall asleep halfway, that's fine. The notes won't leave. I won't scold you. Many people have heard that Mao loved Rongzhai, yet don't know what sits inside the book. The opening question stays buried for now: why can a notebook walk with a person for a whole life? We'll take it slowly. You can also think of tonight as borrowing a lamp. The lamp isn't Hong Mai's. It's your own judgment. The book only straightens the wick a little: where to brighten, where to leave dim. Leaving dim isn't cheating. It's admitting that some places lack material. When material is thin and you still blast a floodlight, your eyes hurt, and your mind gets a fake brightness. Fake brightness is the worst trap, because it looks like understanding. The author of Rongzhai Suibi is Hong Mai, courtesy name Jinglu, also called Rongzhai, from Poyang in the Southern Song. His father, Hong Hao, went as an envoy to the Jin and was held for more than 10 years, with a hard spine of integrity. Hong Mai himself passed the jinshi exam, served in the Hanlin Academy, served in local posts. He had felt wind from the court and cold from the frontier. He wasn't a man who only dreamed inside a study, so his notes often say, "I saw this myself" and "I heard this myself." That tone is different from someone who only copies old books. Hong Mai's career wasn't one smooth road of luck, yet he was never squeezed into the role of a permanent complainer. He wrote about institutions, about what he witnessed, and about what he was unsure of. Being unsure and still willing to write it down is rare. Many books show only what the author is certain of. Rongzhai is willing to show hesitation. When hesitation is public, readers often trust more. Trust is useful at bedtime. You're willing to lend your ears to someone who doesn't pretend to know everything. The book has 5 collections: Suibi, Subai, Sanbai, Sibai, and Wubai, 74 yuan in all, written across roughly 40 years. It wasn't finished in one push and then published. It was lived, thought, and noted along the way. Reading it feels like talking with an elder for half a lifetime: Tang poetry one day, official ranks another, then an ancient figure long misunderstood. The topics scatter. The mind does not. What scatters is material. What gathers is judgment. If you hear notebook essays for the first time, you might pause: so it is fragmented? Fragmentation is exactly its shape. It is fragmented enough that you can open any page and start, and close it whenever you like. After you close it, your mind may not keep a full plot. It often keeps a tone: don't rush. Those 3 words don't sound like a slogan, yet they can press back a little of the night's urge to charge outward. Hong Mai came from an official family, yet he wasn't merely someone who recited family rules. His father Hong Hao's fate felt like a long cold wind, sent as envoy, detained, unable to return for more than a decade. Integrity traveled outside, the household had to hold firm. Later, when Hong Mai served and wrote, there was a tension in him. When the world is unstable, you look more carefully. That tension isn't a panic attack. It is a refusal to muddle through. Refusal to muddle through is why he notes doubts, line by line. The title says occasional notes, not casual. Occasional means written as thoughts arrive. Notes means written with care. Hong Mai said he wrote when reading gave him something he could keep. Said plainly, not to put on a show for others, but to hold that moment of now I see. If you have ever stopped mid-page tonight or any night, you already understand why notebooks like this live so long. Notebooks live long for another reason: they aren't handcuffed to one era's slogans. Slogans expire. The habit of checking does not. Checking can change targets. Once it checked histories, today it checks headlines. Once it checked official titles, today it checks screenshots. Tools change. The temperament stays. When the temperament stays, the book can still speak with you. Reading Rongzhai Suibi, the first feeling is often true. It doesn't rush to teach you how to succeed at being a person. It teaches something more basic first. Don't take everything you hear and everything you read as settled fact. The Southern song was already far from Tang and Han, yet many pretty stories still circulated. Hong Mai liked to reach out and touch them. Where did this story come from? Do the sources match? If they do not, he wrote that down. That kind of checking sounds like a scholar's temper. At bedtime, honestly, it's practical. Daytime is full of rumors, headlines, and half-truths. If you learn to ask what's the basis, your mind grows quieter. One more detail. Hong Mai often wrote not to show off learning, but to correct. Correct what? The habit of everyone knows it is so. Habits feel comfortable. At bedtime you follow them easily. This person must be bad, that matter must be right, this old saying must fit today. Rongzhai taps beside you. Wait, look again. The tap isn't loud, yet it can keep one layer of fog from covering you. When fog covers you, people do two things fastest: rush to take a side, rush to share. Taking his side buys a short belonging. Sharing buys a short sense of joining in. After the short rush, night left behind is emptiness and dryness. Rongzhai's substitute is simple: hold a doubt, then sleep. Holding a doubt isn't coldness. It's booking the conclusion for tomorrow. Tomorrow's you is usually smarter than tonight's anger. The first core is doubt when you read history. Hong Mai's gift isn't telling legends. It is taking legends apart. In histories, some names, offices, years, and places look polished yet don't match. He would set books side by side. This volume says this, that volume says that. Which side holds? It may sound like a class in textual criticism. At bedtime it is a useful posture. Don't hurry to a verdict. The book often talks about Han and Tang stories. Later people like to cast ancients as stage heroes and villains. Hong Mai asks, what was this person's situation then? Is the evidence enough? If not, don't overact. Overacting turns history into a skit. Skits sound good, and they squeeze truth out. If by day you also stamp colleagues, relatives, and news faces in 1 second, Rongzhai gives a light pull. Labeling someone is fast, correcting yourself is slow. Correction is slow because face gets mixed in. Once you have said in public, that's how it is, taking it back hurts. Hong Mai shows another courage in his notes: I can correct, and I'll write the correction down. Writing it down means admitting the map has been updated. Updating a map isn't shameful. Shameful is hugging an old map and pretending you still know the road. If at night you keep grinding, did I say it wrong? Rongzhai would say, change one line, sleep once. That's more decent than grinding all night. Doubt isn't paranoia. It's leaving a little empty space. Empty space can take in new material. If for every matter you say, I already knew, the book is wasted. Hong Mai read for a lifetime and still admitted in his notes, I once thought I was right, later I found I was wrong. That admission looks more like a real person than any polished quote. Real people are fit for bedtime listening. When I reach this place, I often pause. Not from being moved, from matching myself. How many times by day do I pick a side after half a sentence? Half a sentence is dangerous. It is just enough to light emotion, and not enough to hold truth. Rongzhai is like a proofreader who isn't in a hurry. He completes the half sentence, then checks it against another book. After that, spectacle may shrink. Credibility grows. More credibility can mean less storytelling sparkle. A little less sparkle is good for a bedtime channel. Highly stimulating narrative pulls the nerves tight. A mild sense of verification lets you sink slowly. When you sink, you aren't growing dull. You're turning off daytime alarms. When alarms turn off, the body dares to rest. You may ask, if I doubt and doubt, will I believe nothing? Hong Mai's answer is gentle. He doesn't tell you to throw histories away. He tells you to swap a single-track story for multi-track comparison. One book says this, another says that. The difference itself is a reminder. It reminds you, the past was noisy too. Paper pressed it flat. Once paper presses flat, emotion disappears from view, yet positions remain. Let's go a little deeper gently. Histories are written by people. Once people write, there's selection. Once there's selection, there's shadow. Hong Mai doesn't fantasize that he can see all the sunlight. He tries to mark the shadows. Here the material is thin, there the accounts fight. Once marked, readers have a choice. Unmarked history reads smoothly, so smoothly you're led. Being led feels like theater by day, and emptiness by night, because you have no judgment of your own, only someone else's script. In an age thick with script feeling, everyone seems assigned a role. Roles fix lines. Lines fix conflicts. When Hong Mai takes legends apart, he is also taking face masks apart. Once masks fall, people become people in situations again. People in situations deserve sympathy, and also caution. When sympathy and caution sit together, judgment is less extreme. A less extreme heart falls asleep more easily. The second core is truth lives in details. Many entries in Rongzhai look small, the gloss of one character, the evolution of one institution, the source of one line of poetry. Small, yet they often decide whether a big judgment can stand. Hong Mai knew, anyone can speak grandly, details show the slip. If you remember only conclusions and skip details, conclusions are towers on sand. Here's a bedside example. Someone retells an event. Version 1 is complete. Version 2 adds emotion. Version 3 keeps only a stance. Hong Mai spreads the three versions and looks for which words were added later. Where words were added, bias often walks in. Tonight you needn't become a historian. Just remember, before you have heard the whole, don't fill yourself with fire. When fire fills you, sleep grows thin. When Hong Mai writes about offices, geography, and objects, he often goes fine. Fine isn't showing off. It is fear of error. One error, and the whole chain of reasoning leans. If at work you have met one wrong assumption up front, then the whole project reworked. You understand why he grinds these seemingly boring points in his notes. Boring points are sometimes the screws of a whole building. You can also think of details as little beans inside a pillow. The bean is small. One poke tells you the posture is wrong. In historical telling, that poke is often a mismatched office name, place, or year. A mismatch may not overturn a whole book at once, yet it reminds you, don't treat this stretch as iron plate. Iron plate certainty breeds arrogance. Arrogance turns bedtime review into self-trial. Trial that's too heavy makes the bed hard. Details have a side effect, they slow you down. Slowness looks like a flaw in an efficiency age. At the door of sleep it looks like a virtue. Verify a little slower. Curse a little slower. Tie yourself to a stance a little slower. The less you bind, the lighter you turn over. Lighter turning means deeper sleep. Another kind of detail feels like today's search and check. A name wrong by a generation, an office title mixed up, a timeline flipped. These errors hide inside pretty narratives and show clearly on a laid-out chronology. Hong Mai loved laying out chronologies. Toward big conclusions you heard by day, you can also ask softly, does the time match? Does the place match? If not, don't share yet. Don't get angry yet. Hong Mai also kept entries that watch errors passed along as truth. Error isn't always deliberate rumor. Often, as a story travels, the pleasant parts stay and the hard details drop. After details drop, the story grows rounder and falser. When you scroll short videos today, you meet these rounded stories too. The rounder they look, the more you keep a watchful eye. One watchful eye, and emotion is harder to drag. The scariest part of error passing isn't that it is false, but that it is false and complete. So complete you can't find a seam. Rongzhai looks for seams. A seam may be only an office title, or a year that can't coexist with another fact. Once a seam is found, the completeness cracks. Cracking isn't scary. Never cracking is scary, leaving you hugging a fake jade, sleeping till dawn, still dreaming. The third core is reading people. The notes often record how ancients acted. Hong Mai did not love empty labels when he judged people. He cared more, does this person keep their word? In a crisis, public first or private first? In power, how do they treat others? Out of power, how do they treat themselves? Those questions work better than the two words loyal and treacherous. The Southern Song Court wasn't peaceful. Peace and war, faction fights, rises and falls, all sharp. Hong Mai walked inside that world, so when he spoke of people he often carried a tone of I have seen something like this. Having seen, he would not write people into paper cutouts. Paper people only take stickers. Living people show their choice under pressure. Choice under pressure is the key to reading people. Reading people has a more bedside layer, reading yourself. While you watch others under pressure, glance at yourself too. When you're busy, do your words grow sharper? When you fear loss, do your explanations grow longer? When you want to win, do you pick evidence more selectively? When Hong Mai judged ancients, he was also practicing a mirror craft. Mirrors are quiet, yet they make people a little more honest. A little more honest, and you stage fewer inner dramas at night. Inner drama drains more power than overtime. Overtime at least has an end time. Inner drama can run all night. The homework of reading yourself is giving that drama a lightboard, which shots deserve replay, which should be cut. Hong Mai's habit of look at the concrete matter first is an editing habit. Concrete matters are footage. Labels are special effects. Use fewer effects, and the film feels true. If by day someone stabbed you with one sentence, at night you most easily cast them as entirely rotten. Rongzhai's method is, look at one concrete matter first, then long-term pattern, then judgment. Judgment is allowed. Don't seal it too early. Once sealed, anger locks you too. Being locked steals sleep worst. Sometimes Hong Mai also finds a little context for people who were cursed badly. Context isn't whitewashing. It is evening the stage lights, so the spotlight isn't only on the charge. When the spotlight narrows, a person becomes a symbol. When symbols go viral, later readers refuse materials. If you leave people a little context, the world shouts less, and you tire less. People of the Southern song and people today wear different clothes, yet their tempers often rhyme. Where? In loving to crush complex people into 2 words. 2 words are easy to remember and easy to pass, and they wound deepest. After the wound, the passer may not feel triumph long, the one passed around may replay it all night. Rongzhai teaching you to label more slowly is protecting sleep, make fewer replays, leave yourself fewer thorns. Leaving thorns often happens in moments of a fast mouth. A fast mouth buys a win on the spot, and leaves a thorn at night. The thorn may not be from the other person. It may be one you threw that bounced back. Rongzhai-style slow labeling is a buffer strip for the mouth. 1 meter of buffer may buy an hour of sleep. Worth it or not, you can do the math. The 4th core is office life and measure. Hong Mai served as an official, so his notes talk of memorials, appointments, and rules. He isn't handing you a textbook of intrigue. He is more like a reminder, position changes what you see, and may twist honesty. Once you rise, true words grow fewer. When true words grow fewer, judgment swells easily. When the book speaks of remonstrance and responsibility, the tone is often calm. Calm means, matters can be intense, speech can be clear, yet don't treat emotion as all the evidence. When evidence is thin, emotion fills blanks. Where blanks are filled, regret often begins. If tonight you're still stuck on a daytime meeting, borrow Rongzhai's posture, line up the facts first, then decide whether to be angry. Anger is allowed. Don't let anger finish every conclusion for you. Office life has another illness called fame. When a name grows too large, people around automatically invent stories. Once stories wrap, even errors become legends. Hong Mai was alert to that wrapping. He preferred to write, materials are insufficient, leave it in doubt for now. In doubt doesn't sound thrilling, yet it protects you. It protects judgment, and protects sleep, because you needn't stay excited all night over an unproven tale. Measure sounds like a rulebook, yet it feels soft in use. Measure means, you can speak fully, or leave 1 inch, you can push a matter, or verify first. Leaving 1 inch isn't cowardice. It's leaving a doorway for truth. With a doorway, people won't treat emotion as the only pass. Too many passes, and meeting rooms grow loud. At night, the heart grows loud too. Office measure translates into today's workplace too. What translates isn't dark arts. It is boundary. People with clear boundaries bring fewer emotions home. Too many emotions at home, and the pillow becomes a conference room. When Hong Mai warns that position twists honesty, he also warns you, if today you sit in a place of being looked up to, or being overlooked, your ears may already be distorted. When distorted, don't hurry to sentence others, and don't hurry to sentence yourself. If these reminders doubt a little, look at details, feel useful tonight, you can tap like when you have a breath. If you want Bedside Book Voice to keep reading books like this, you can subscribe. Do it now, or after you wake. No rush. The 5th core is poetry and taste. Hong Mai did not only check history. He also talked poetry. Judging tang and song verse, he often began with whether wording sits right, whether allusions fit. Not to become a literary judge, to show that beauty can have reasons. When reasons are clear, beauty doesn't shrink. It grows steadier. When Hong Mai talked poetry, he often landed on fitting and not fitting. Fitting means word and meaning sit together. Not fitting means the words show off while meaning stands aside watching. If you have ever revised a passage into something flashier and emptier, you know why he checked this. Checking isn't spoiling fun. It is pulling beauty back from false heat. When false heat fades, beauty lasts, and people sleep better too. Taste in poetry, dropped into daily life, is the temperature of wording. Temperature isn't affectation. It is making sure the other person can receive it. When words can be received, conflict halves. Half less conflict, half less nighttime replay. Hong Mai checking diction sounds like a literati habit. It is very daily. When speech fits, people get hurt less easily. Some people feel poetry is too refined, and hearing it at bedtime will wake them. Hong Mai's poetry talk is quite daily. He would say where a line is good, why a couplet feels forced. Forced means the heart has not arrived, while the words arrived first. When you write email, reply, or even send a short message, you meet words arrived, heart did not. When the heart doesn't arrive, the other person hears emptiness. Emptiness tires more than noise. Literary entries in Rongzhai often link to historical fact. People, places, and events inside poems he would check. After checking, some legends could not stand. If they can't stand, that's fine. A poem can still be read as a poem. Just don't treat legend as a resume. Resumes need evidence. Poems need feeling. Don't cook them in one pot. One pot, and daytime debate grows loud, and the night mind can't settle. Inside literary entries there's also a gentleness. Allow poetry its freedom, and don't let history pretend to the same freedom. When freedom hangs on the wrong hook, talk becomes everyone speaking past everyone. That tires people. A tired person going home doesn't need another win. They need two rulers placed in separate drawers. With drawers, things don't crash onto the pillow in one heap. The drawer method has another layer. Separate I like from I have verified. Liking a poem doesn't require proving every story inside it true at once. Verifying a historical fact doesn't require forcing it to be beautiful at once. Beauty and truth can shake hands, or sit apart. When they sit apart, arguments cool. Cooler night suit turning off the lamp. Hong Mai also talked about using allusions in prose. Using allusions means citing old stories. Used well, like a lamp lighting. Used stiffly, like a room stuffed with furniture until no one can sit. If you always pile ornate words, listeners tire. If you always drop book bags into writing, readers flee. Rongzhai liked fitness, brighten where brightness belongs, leave white space where white space belongs. White space matters especially before sleep. The sixth core is the posture of learning. What moves me about Hong Mai isn't how much he knew. It is that he was willing to correct. Across 40 years of notes, earlier mistakes got supplements later. Supplementing isn't losing face. It's treating learning as alive. Alive learning allows yesterday's self to be less exact. This feels close today. When you scroll to an ultimate truth, if you pause 1 second before sharing, is the source solid? Is there another account? You already have a little Rongzhai flavor. The flavor isn't becoming a scholar. It is being dragged by fewer rhythms. When rhythm drags you, bedtime rumination starts easily. Once rumination opens, the bed becomes a second office. Hong Mai emphasized reading for something gained. Gained needn't be a thunderous conclusion. It may be one character clarified, one timeline straightened. Once straightened, the heart feels lighter. Lighter isn't becoming ignorant. It's carrying less fog. Fog carried long makes people irritable, and irritability makes sleep hard. He also had a precious temper. He did not fear trouble. For one doubt, he would open several books. Today you may not have that much time with originals, yet you can learn the tone. Don't treat first glance as final judgment. First glance is often loudest. Final judgment needs quiet. Quiet is the luxury left before sleep. The most anti-chicken soup line in learning posture is, I can be wrong. Being able to be wrong allows change. Being able to change allows reading to continue. Hong Mai's 40 years of notes feel like a long self-revision. Revision isn't self-negation. It is self-upgrade. Upgrades can be tiny, 1 year corrected, 1 false tale deleted. Tiny upgrades stack, and a person steadies. Steady people fear less. Before sleep, the big hollow of "Am I entirely wrong?" A big hollow swallows people. It enlarges one small error into "I'm wholly no good." Hong Mai's revision shows the opposite. Error is local, change is local. Local can be repaired, so a person can still sleep. If you believe you must be perfect in one shot, the bed becomes a torture device. Take the device away. Keep the pillow. The 7th core is worldly texture. The notes also hold customs, objects, and odd news. Hong Mai recorded these not only for curiosity. He wanted to keep how people lived then. Living is the flesh of history. With only emperor chronologies, history thins into a skeleton. With daily use, forms of address, and habits, color returns to the bone. When you read such entries, you may smile. Ancients also quarreled over names, rights, and small matters. After smiling, you notice, human anxiety is rarely brand new. Only the props change. Once people fought over rank names, now they fight over likes and rankings. Once they feared falling behind scholarly circles, now they fear falling behind the feed. Rongzhai won't fix your phone. He only reminds you, see the shape of anxiety, and don't be scared by the shape alone. Worldly entries have another gift, they let you exhale about great men history. Not every night needs intrigue climaxes. Sometimes hearing how ancients addressed each other, gave gifts, or mistook a place name lets the heart slide out of tightness. Sliding down isn't growing foolish. It's growing soft. Soft a little, and sleep can enter. Worldly texture also reminds you, beyond grand narratives, there's kitchen smoke. Kitchen smoke is in high status, yet it feeds people. Feeding means remembering you also eat, misunderstand, and get awkward over small things. Remembering that, you grow wider toward others, and wider toward yourself. Wider, and anger shortens by a cut. Shorter anger extinguishes more easily after the lamp goes out. Kitchen smoke entries can treat another illness, addiction to solemnity. When everything rises to life and death honor, the nervous system stays on guard. Guarded long, even turning off the lamp doesn't turn you off. Reading a little about ancient forms of address, rights, and trifles is like turning the volume knob left. Turn a little. You needn't become cynical. The 8th core is sincerity and falseness. When Hong Mai spoke of people and affairs, he often returned to a plain standard: is this speech sincere? Sincerity isn't mouth excitement. It is inside and outside roughly matching. Falseness isn't always great villainy. Often it is too many stage lines, too little real intent. Stage lines can keep a day moving, yet eating stage lines as meals makes a person hollow. If by day you sat through many meetings and said no problem many times, yet feel tired at night, the tiredness is often not the throat. It is sincerity thinned out. Rongzhai won't tell you to become a thorn starting tomorrow. He is more like saying, leave yourself at least one true sentence. True can be short, I'm actually quite tired today. Short, yet it brings a person back from performance. Brought back, sleep can receive you. Sincerity also links to reading. Reading sincerely means admitting what you don't know. Writing sincerely means not casting guesses as verdicts. Hong Mai's notes often show not yet clear and to be examined words that leave a crack in the door. With a crack, air enters. If you demand a verdict feeling for everything, night will press you tight. Tightness isn't seriousness. It's missing a crack. Between sincerity and falseness there's a gray, not cheating you, only overperforming. Overperformance may score by day and dock points by night because the body knows you're taught. Hong Mai reading history also watched that tautness. Dynasties taught for long had many pretty speeches. Where pretty speeches pile up, real problems often hide in footnotes. Footnotes are the corners Rongzhai loved. The ninth core is time. Hong Mai wrote 5 collections across a long span. People change, views change, materials update. So he did not fear imperfect consistency front to back. Perfect consistency can look rehearsed. A real reader repairs their map along the road. Old marks on a map mean you truly walked. If you demand that you be always right, you will suffer. Always right people daren't learn new things, and daren't admit error. Hong Mai's notes seem to say, error can be changed, once changed, write a line, don't pretend it never happened. Pretending costs the most spirit. Spirit costing things should work by day and clock out at night. Time also teaches this, many arguments can't be forced to a result. If a piece of material is missing, it is missing. Waiting for material is more decent than hard guessing. If by day you're stuck on something temporarily unsolvable, Rongzhai's tone feels like, note the doubt, sleep once, look tomorrow. The doubt remains, yet the person loosens first. Loosened, you have strength to live tomorrow well. Time sense at bedtime means allowing no answer tonight. No answer isn't failure. It's materials not yet complete. Forcing a conclusion with incomplete materials is like going downstairs before the light is on easy to bump. When Hong Mai wrote to be examined, he was saying, I'll sit at the stair landing and wait for daylight. You can sit a while too. Sitting a while isn't shameful. The ability to sit a while is scarce among adults. Children can wait. Anxious adults often cannot. Hong Mai used to be examined to model waiting. Waiting isn't abandoning thought. It's refusing forged conclusions. Forged conclusions can make tonight feel good and tomorrow feel awkward. Awkwardness piled thin makes confidence thin. Thin confidence breaks sleep further. The 10th core is how to read this book. Rongzhai Suibi isn't small. It doesn't suit being heard as one continuous story dump. A better way is sampling entries, 3 history notes tonight, 2 poetry notes tomorrow, 1 institutional note on the weekend. Like tea, don't gulp. Gulping bloats. Slow tasting enters. If you're chased by I must finish or it doesn't count, Rongzhai loosens that rope. It is occasional notes by nature. Occasional allows breaks. Break, then continue fine. Bedtime reading should allow half-dream. A half-sentence remembered in half-dream sometimes sticks closer than 10 sentences copied while fully awake. When you read, you can also bring a small question to the door. What am I most ready to believe lightly today? A headline? A retelling from someone I know? Or my own emotion? Reading with a question, entries don't skim past like encyclopedia lines. They tap like a mirror. One tap is enough. No need to write a self-criticism. Another small trick for Rongzhai, treat entries as conversation, not as an exam. Exams want scores. Conversation wants a response. If you answer, I made this mistake by day 2, the entry enters your life. Reminders that enter life last longer than summaries that enter a notebook. Lasting things belong beside a pillow. So if tonight you remember only one move, I hope it is this. When you meet a sentence that sounds ironclad, write 2 words in your mind first to be examined. After that, decide whether to anger, share, or believe. The decision can wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow the sun will rise. Anger doesn't need an overnight funeral. Back to the opening question, why could a notebook walk with Mao Zedong through a life? Records say he annotated Rongzhai Suibi many times, liking its textual checking and historical discussion, and liking that flavor of refusing blind follow. This isn't asking you to turn the book into a leader's textbook. It only shows books that endure are often not the loudest ones. They are the ones you can open again, and each time correct judgment a little. Correction needn't happen every day. Sometimes for a whole week you're pushed by rhythm, and correction arrives late. Late is fine, as long as you can return. The sign of return is simple: you're willing again to ask what's the basis. In that 1 second of asking, Rongzhai is there. Correction feels like sleep's function. By day you take in too much. At night you need sorting. Rongzhai sorts too: legend from source, emotion from fact, I think from there's basis. After the split, the world is still complex, yet your mind clears a little. Clear a little, and sleep is nearer. Of course Hong Mai was a southern songman, with his positions, limits of what he saw and heard, and perhaps his preferences. Reading him isn't worshipping him. You can treat him as a rigorous, stubborn old friend. When he is right, you nod; when he leans, you can argue 2 lines in your mind. 2 lines of arguing is the best way to read occasional notes. They invite you to think along, not order you to memorize. People talk a lot about Mao reading Rongzhai, some toward legend, some toward scholarship. Tonight we take only the most bedside layer. A book that can walk with someone for a long time usually has 2 things: density, and a door you can re-enter. Density means the entries truly hold substance. The door means when you're tired you can still open a page without being crushed by long argumentation. Rongzhai has both, so it endures. Someone asks, with notes this scattered, will I catch nothing after listening? What you catch is often not a list of entries, but a habit. Habit of asking for basis. Habit of looking at details. Habit of judging people a little later. Habit of admitting your view can change. Those 4 sit better in a pillow than 100 memorized illusions. You can also picture those 4 as 4 small lamps. Lamps needn't be bright. Bright enough to see the next step is enough. When the next step is clear, you're less easily dragged by a huge slogan at the corridor's end. Slogans are loud. Bedtime fears loudness. Small lamps are steady. Steady helps sleep. If you're still awake and want to leave me a line, would you rather keep doubt when reading history by your pillow, or judge people a little later? You can write it in the comments. If you like lying here and listening to books, subscribe and the little bell can help you find us next time with less searching. Next time we may talk about another notebook or historical discussion that also rewards slow night reading, linked to tonight's temperament of careful checking. You sleep first. The books will wait. One more practical line. If tomorrow you want the original, you needn't gnaw from 1 to 74. Open any page. When you meet in doubt, not yet clear, to be examined, pause 1 second and feel that tone of not rushing to win. Tone is contagious. If it reaches you, 1 less quarrel by day and 3 fewer turns at night already pay. All right. Tonight you needn't pack all 5 collections into your head. Rongzhai wrote for 40 years. You listened for half an hour. The scales were never equal. Unequal is fine, like a little wind through a window crack, enough. When wind enters, the heart cools a little. Cool a little, and sinking comes easier. When you sink, you needn't struggle to review entries. Let Hong Mai's reminders of wait, look again light once in the dark by themselves. Lighting once is enough. Enough means don't demand that tonight you become a more awake person. Awakeness can be paid in installments. Tonight pay a small amount, believe half a sentence less, anger 1 moment less, share 1 post less. The rest, hand to sleep and tomorrow. If the lamp is still on, dim it a little more. If the phone is still near your hand, move it a little farther. The world is large. Tonight needs only a small corner, 1 bed, 1 pillow, a little wakefulness that refuses blind follow. Wakefulness isn't tautness. It is looseness that can still tell apart. After you tell apart, set even that down, and hand it to sleep. This is Bedside Book Voice. Good night, see you in the pages.